Yes. Yes, let's start today's session. So in the last session, we were discuss just a basic introduction of Python. So what is Python and what kind of applications we can develop using Python, and Python is what type of programming language it is, and also just features of Python we discuss and versions of Python. Okay. So in the last session, we discussed just basic introduction, versions of Python and features of Python, and how to download and install Python software also we discussed. Okay, just quickly I'll show once again how to download and install Python software for those who join new today. Okay, so if you want to write Python programming, so compulsory uh, one platform is required, that is editor platform. So editor software is required. So to download and install Python software, you just visit Google and type download Python. There is official website python.org. Just quickly I'll show you download Python. So once you click on download Python, you will be able to notice that python.org. Just click on this. And after that, you can see download Python 3.9.5. This is the latest version of uh, Python. So you just click on it. You will get quickly 3.9.5.exe will be available. And after that, you just go to download folder, and let me go to download folder. Already I installed in my computer. So just go to download folder. You will get Python 3.9.5.exe like this. You just once double click on it to install the software. And look at here, as soon as when we click on double click on this .exe file, so here modify, repair, uninstall, because in my computer already it's there, but in your case it will not be available, and two options will come like install now and customized installation. Then you just click on install now, but before going to click on install now, you should activate a checkbox called add Python 3.9 to path. So there will be a checkbox called add Python to Python 3.9 to path. Then immediately you can activate checkbox and click on install now. Just go to next, install. That's it. So within 1 minute of time, your Python software will be installed. And after successful installation of Python, then what we need to do, first step, we need to write a program here. So I would like to show you there are different ways to write Python program and execute. Okay. So what are the different ways to write Python program and execute? So these are the different ways. Different ways to write Python code and execute. What are the options are there? All options I'll show you. Okay. Then finally we'll decide which is the best option for beginners, and I'll decide and I'll go through that option through only completely. But as a Python programmer, you must and should aware what are the possible ways to write Python code and which editor is the best editor. Okay, and how many ways to run your Python script. You have to know that clearly. That's what I'm showing here. First way, using interactive mode. Using interactive mode. Interactive mode. Yes, interactive mode. This is first way. And next way is using script mode. Using script mode. And next one is using Python IDLE. Yes. And next one is using PyCharm editor. Using PyCharm editor. This is using PyCharm editor. So you know that as soon as when we install Python software, you will get a default editor called IDLE. What is that? IDLE, Integrated Development Learning Environment. So after successful installation of Python software, you will get IDLE. To open IDLE, you just go to search and type IDLE in search box. And immediately you will get this IDLE. Just click over there. Once you click on it, and what will be there, use interactive shell will be open. This is called interactive window. Okay. So even I discussed just basic program in last session also. So in this interactive window, you need not to write complete Python script. and no need to save it anywhere. Just what you want to type, just type it and just click on enter, just press enter. So now your output is ready. Suppose you can see a value 10, just basic program I'm trying to do, and c equals to a plus b. If you want to see the output of c, then press enter. That's all. Your output is ready. Okay. So this is interactive cell. One option you have to write program like this only. No need to save it anywhere. Then option number two is using script mode. In this script mode, you can write Python program completely, and you must and should save with the .py extension. You may get doubt again. Where should I write Python code, sir? Yes, you can choose any editor, including Python ideally, and also including like Notepad, Edit Plus, Sublime Editor, Notepad Plus Plus, any editor you can use. No issues at all. But make sure that finally after completion of program, you should save with the .py. So I am showing other way to write code and execute. That is second way, script mode. For script mode, okay, then I'm just closing ideally, and I'm going to open just Notepad. It's my Notepad window, and here I want to write Python code. So just I would like to write one simple statement. So welcome to Durgasoft. Just I'm writing very simple script. So do you think is it Python code right now? Don't. It's not Python code. So when it will become, so when we click on file and save, and I strongly recommend to save Python script with the .py extension, and I'm just saving with the test.py, and in desktop I'm saving. Just click on save it. So your Python script file is ready, sir. So here once your script file is ready, test.py, and this we can able to execute in two different ways. One way is using command prompt. So let's go to run and type cmd, then press enter. So your file is available in where, sir? Desktop. So I have to move to desktop location, cd space desktop, then press enter. You are right now in desktop, and you are going to execute Python program. So Python file. So I should say the command called Python. That means I'm going to executing Python script. And what's your file name? Tester.py, then press enter. So welcome to Durgasoft. It's coming clearly output. And even short way you can able to execute py space Python, sorry, py space, instead of Python we'll use py, and your program name is called test.py, then run. That's all. So write a code in Notepad, that is your script, and save with the .py and run through command prompt. So why we should use this command prompt every time? Why don't we use this test.py file execution purpose, our software already which is available ideally? Yes, we can do it. So look at here, ideally also I'm opening, and we are getting interactive window, but I have already file. So file, click on open. You should, if you want to open a new existing file, and choose the file location where exactly it's available, and just test.py, then open it, and it's available already. We have written no in Notepad, same code, it's available right now. And if you want to execute, go to run menu and run module. Yes, in Python every program is going to treat it as a module. I'll talk about modules in later session, or else you can hit the press F5 button from your computer. Okay, just click on it. You got output clearly here. So these are the options are available. Option number one, directly you can write code in interactive window. Option number two, write a code in Notepad or any other editor and save with the .py, and that same file you can execute under using command prompt or using ideally software. But apart from these two options, why don't we create a new file directly in ideally? Yes, we can do it. Directly you can go to ideally software. There only we can create a new file. So like this, just go to ideally software and click on file menu. I'm just preparing new file, and I'm typing just again print hello. Just I'm typing hello, and make sure that once you start writing code here, and before going to execute, you must and should save. Okay, if you directly execute without saving, it will ask you to save before run or check. Okay, so click on OK to save, and it will ask the file name again. Here also .py must and should be required, and choose the location where you want to save. I'm just choosing desktop. Click on OK, then its output is ready. Okay, yes, these are the options we have to write Python code and execute. But I'm saying that in our classes, complete classes, including Django classes and Python classes, I will not follow any one of this option. Okay, in my coding explanation on programmatic explanation, I'll always follow this PyCharm editor. Now, PyCharm editor is required. Why PyCharm strongly recommend means PyCharm editor is the most powerful editor. PyCharm editor is the most what we can say used editor in reality. So that means uh, as a beginner, for example, those who are new to Python programming, I strongly recommend for them to use PyCharm editor software. But sir, whenever I install Python software, will I get PyCharm? No, you will not get PyCharm. You have to download and install separately PyCharm editor also. Let's flip to again Google, and after that just simply type download PyCharm. Download PyCharm. You will be able to notice that there is a first link www.jetbrains.com and just click over there. So why? Because PyCharm editor completely designed and developed by JetBrains community, and there are two options are there in front of you. One is professional, another one is community. And professional version also I'm going to use in coming session whenever I deal with Django web applications. For them it's required compulsory professional editor of PyCharm, but as of now I strongly recommend to do community version for pure Python development. It's a free open source, but it's not a free open source, it's a free trial version. So once you go for professional, look at here for both scientific and web Python development with HTML, JavaScript, and SQL support. So those who wants to develop an application using Django framework along with Python script, for them I recommend this one. And those who wants to work with pure Python programming like core and advanced Python script, for them I'll recommend this community version. So right now I'm going to just download community version. When we click on download community version, you will be get PyCharm community.exe. Okay, already is there in my computer. You can see this. Just flip to download folder. Once you click over there, download folder, and PyCharm community 2021.1.2 is the latest version. Next step after downloading, what we need to do, just double click on PyCharm community 2021.1.2. This is executable file. And here once you double click on it, it will ask you to allow changes, make changes in your computer. Then yes, next install. Don't do changes in the middle. It's very simple to install. Okay, I'm unable to show you because I have already in my computer. Don't worry, you will also get quickly this PyCharm editor installation. No need to worry about that. Just double click on it and next install it. You should wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Your PyCharm software setup also ready. So once your setup is ready, sir, how I can open PyCharm editor? Let's simply go to search and type PyCharm. Look at here, PyCharm Community Edition. I have two options are there. Okay, I'm going to handle the Django batches also right now. That's what professional editor is there and community version is also there. So this is community edition. Just click over there. Okay, yes. Once you click on community version, observe here in my computer. Okay, recently whatever I handle the project in PyCharm editor, that's going to be directly prompt. But in your computer, whenever you install for the first time PyCharm edition, okay, and directly it will ask you to create a new project. That difference you have to observe. Okay, yes. So right now I'm opening PyCharm editor. This is completely purely designed and developed for Python programs only. I strongly recommend for Python beginners. For practice purpose, this is the good editor in initial stage. At least if basic things, if you know how to handle the Python script with syntax and all, you know how to write a code, what are the rules and regulations up to now, then you just try to start practice in PyCharm editor. But once you know how to handle the code and syntactical things, all those things, then you can use any type of editor. Why I'll not recommend to write code in Notepad and even Python ideally or interactive shell means, if you keep on typing the code, but is there any middle, if you stuck as a programmer, there is no help will be there from that. Okay, from that window, you have to think one as a programmer. But in PyCharm not like that. You are in the middle of the program. If you stuck something for you are searching, then you can easily trace your variables and functions and all, because it's very well equipped with GUI facilities. That's what I strongly recommend this initial stage of Python practice. Okay, let's close this. Look at here, I have handled today. I just recently my project is Python project at 11 a.m. But I don't want to continue with this project, so I would like to create a new project here. Even you also should create a new project. Project is a collection of files. So let's create a file. Let's create a project here. Just go to File menu in PyCharm and click on New Project. Okay, just click on New Project, and it will ask you a project name where you want to locate. Also choose the right location in your computer. Python project at 5 p.m. I'm just taking that Python project at 5 p.m. This is my project name. And now after that, immediately you can see this, click on create. That's it. Once you click on create, it will ask you to, already we are in the project at 11 a.m. So it will ask you uh, where it should be created. That means this window or new window, or if you want to attach that a new project into this project only. No, I would like to create this window only. Now it is going to be open our project now. So before going to enter into your project, it will make you some virtual environment. It will create virtual environment. So once virtual environment is ready, from there onwards, you can start development of your work. No issues at all. So I'm just creating project with no files, but later you need to add Python files to your project. Okay, yes, I'm going to add some Python file, and how many number of files you want, you can add it, write your code and execute everything in this same location only. You need not to go command prompt or somewhere like that for execution, all those things. Okay, so normally when we write code in Notepad, what will happen? You have to type your code in Notepad and save with the .py and go to command prompt and go to the location properly where you saved that file and execute every time. So this will be somewhat little bit process. But once you go for PyCharm, everything is in one location. Write a code and click with one single button and run your code. That's it. Okay, so everything will be available in one location, and your files and folders also can be available in one location. Easily we can able to manageable. Okay, yes, look at here. First time when we create a project, built-in file will come, one file that is called main.py. It's a py.py, main.py. Already they have written some pre-written code. You can see this. Just if this is a special variable underscore underscore name equal to main. This is the main function actually for Python. I'll talk about this later, no worries. And if you want directly execute, so here only you can click, uh, here only you can see there is a green arrow mark is there. You just click over there and run main, it is there, just run it. And your output is available in the output window. And also you can go to run option. There is a run menu is there, click on run main. So main file is running like, sir, I don't want to work with this file. You just leave it about file. I would like to create a new file. Okay, how do we create a new file? You can see left hand side, there is a project folder is there, Python project at 5 p.m. Right click over there, and after that go to new option, and there are two options are available. One is plain file, this is a text file, and one is Python file. Which one is required? So I need to go for this one. What is the difference between this and this? If I select this plain file, this is a text file, normal text file. If you want to convert that Python file, while giving file name, compulsory you should add some .py extension. Okay. And if we select this one, Python file, already you are selecting Python file. No need to give any .py extension like that. Okay. Yes, click on it. And now it will ask you to give the file name. I'm just giving test, then press enter. Then automatically your test file is created. Okay, test file is created. And here you can start writing code. As soon as when we type some print, look at here, some IntelliSense option is coming. So that means what programmer is expecting, immediately the PyCharm editor will be captured and it will give you clearly. So look at here, print is available. Once your required stuff is available in this IntelliSense, you need not to keep on type, just press enter, automatically it will capture from there. Just I want to write one simple code, hello. After completion of this, how to run this, sir? Yes, there are so many options are there to execute directly. Right click on this tab, test.py, which file you want to run, and run test. Test is your program name, just run this. Or else another option, go to run menu and run test. This is one option. Okay. Or else here also you can see left hand side there is green arrow mark is there, you just click on it. So there are so many options are there, and you can add like as many as you want. Okay, so many files you can add it. One more file I'm adding now. Test1 is my file name. Okay, in this file test1 I would like to write some code here. Print a here, compulsory to display some output. Print function is required, sir. In interactive shell print is not required, but here compulsory print is required. Print is a built-in function which is for output. Okay, and you can see print type of a. I would like to know data type of my a variable, because Python is dynamically typed. You need not to define or declare any data type of variable. It will give syntax error, but I want to know what type of data type is assigned for my variable. So that's the reason I'm just executing this one and run test one. It's coming clearly here. Okay, so this is what execution int type it's declared here. If it is float and type of a is what type it is, float type only here, float type. This is the way to execute your code. But sir, here you can observe carefully. Can we execute this test.py? For example, test.py is there. Here directly we can execute. No need to depend on command prompt, all those things. Sir, can we execute same test.file test.py in command prompt? Yes, we can do it. But look at here. Where is your project? In G drive. Look at here. This is the G drive location. So go to run and type cmd. I'm just going to command. Where is your projects are here? Right now we are under C drive, and I would like to move to D drive, G drive. Yes, my project is present in G drive. G colon, then press enter. We are in G drive. In G drive also, what's your project name? Python P small letter Python project P capital letter at 5 p.m. You have to move to this location. CD space Python project at 5 p.m. at 5 p.m. Then press enter. You are in the you are under the project with your in your project. In your project, what file you would like to execute? Test.py. So py space test.py. It will come. Simple. Hello is available in the output clearly. What you have written, same thing only. It is coming here in command prompt. So you can execute through command prompt also, even if you write code in PyCharm. But I'll not recommend this because everything is available here in one location. So why I should go to run again through command prompt? Before, even if you would like to execute, still command prompt here you can write, and there you want to execute. No need to go to command prompt again and again, because command prompt also is there in this PyCharm editor. Yes, look at here. Below there is a terminal option is there, no terminal. This will be act as a command prompt for your PyCharm editor. Look at here, virtual environment and G drive Python project at 5 p.m. Even if you don't want to run like this, right click on run menu, okay, through wizard. And if you want to run, then you can go for py space test.py, then press enter. Your output is available here only. You can deal with this. So these are the different options are there to write a code and execute. But the simple option is what? Just add the file, write your code how much you want, right click on it and test, or else run and run test. That's it. It is easy, no? Yes. So this is about complete installation process, making Python setup. What are the different possible ways to write code and execute? Okay. Now, apart from these options, you can go for other editors like Edit Plus. Yes, write your code in Edit Plus, save with .py. Same, go to command prompt and execute. Same process. You want to go for Visual Studio Code, VS Code. VS Code is also one of the editor. Write it and save it and run it. That's it. So many editors are there, but exclusive Python editors are ideally PyCharm, Atom, Jupyter, Spider. These are the editors are there. Okay, so Jupyter, Spider for data analysis purpose. Even at the end of the Python programming concepts, as I discussed that I'll cover in this session, pandas, matplotlib, numpy, data analysis and data visualization. No, for that programming part, even I will install Anaconda distribution. At that time, I'll show you how to write your Python script for data science modules in Jupyter Notebook. Okay, no issues. But as of now, I installed successfully PyCharm. From now onwards, till the completion of Python concepts, core and advanced, even Django applications also, I'll use PyCharm editor only. For you also, I strongly recommend please be ready with this PyCharm editor, same by following these steps, and happily you can able to manage your Python script and files and all. Okay, yes. So this is about complete installation and making setup of Python. Next, coming to the point, before going to enter into main logic of our Python programs and all, so I would like to discuss most important fundamental concept. So every Python beginner must and should aware of these fundamental concepts. Okay. Yes. So what are the basic fundamentals in Python means this I would like to explain. First one is comments in Python. Yes. Comments in Python. And next fundamental concept is keywords, 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 or we can say reserved words, reserved words. Keywords are reserved words. And next identifiers, identifiers, identifiers. Next variables, variables, and next multiple assignment, multiple assignment, multiple assignment, and final one is indentation. Yes, in this area, indentation area, most of the basic programmers like Python beginners will get a lot of confusion. What is indentation? How to handle that code with indentation? They don't know, but I'll explain you clearly. Don't worry. Indentation is required. So first we'll talk about comments. Comments are very important for any programmer, not only Python programmer. Even if you go for any language like C, C++, Java, C Sharp, .NET, HTML, JavaScript, any code, web technologies, comments are very important. Comments can be used in what we can say, two ways. One is whenever as a programmer, if you don't want to execute some lines of code, then that lines you should keep under comment section. Then your Python interpreter will ignore those lines, what you keep comments. Option is one it is. Then option number two is even as a programmer, for example, if I write code, okay, I created today some functions and classes, all those things. But after few days, whenever I look back my code, even I only written that code, but when I see that code, I may not understand properly. I should spend few minutes of time. I need to rethink again why I should create this function, where I'm calling this function again, and all those things we have to think once again. To avoid this, what we need to do at the time of developing your script, then why don't we write description about your program? Yes, that description purpose we use this comment section. When we use description of your program, whenever you look back your code and you can watch the description clearly, you will understand clearly why you created that function, where you are calling that function. Everything is available in description so that quickly you can understand. Even not only for you, and even your code may be transferred to someone and making other people to understand. So you just describe your code with comment section. They will also read your comments and they'll understand clearly code, why we created this code and where you're calling, what purpose we created. Just you can mention the description in comment section. This is the purpose of comments exactly. One purpose is to avoid some lines of code from execution. Means you want to exclude some lines of code from execution, and another purpose is just describe your code, write a description for your program, then you can use comments. But there are single line comment is there and multi-line comments is there. Single line comment always starts with hash. Look at here, suppose in this program, this is the program actually. Okay, in this program I am writing one more print function like hello. When I execute this test1.py, okay, so look at here 10.9, this code and this code is coming, but I don't want to include this line in the execution, so I'll just keep comment hash symbol I started. So when we execute this code, then print hello will not be display. Why? Because it's not executing, it is under comment section. Or else only print hello I want to execute, but this three lines I don't want to execute. You can keep every line hash symbol, no issues at all. This is also possible. Okay, yes, this is also possible. Now you can see, yes, it will not work out hello. Instead of keeping every line what we can say hash symbol, single line comment, you can go for multi-line comment like starting triple quotes and ending triple quotes. This is called multi-line comments. Multi-lines means number of lines you can keep under comment section, how many lines you want, then run it, then automatically hello is going to display, only this line is available. This is comment section here. Even not only this, if you want to write description about your program, you can keep comment section. For example, this program is for demonstrate print function, like this. This is the comment section. You can write any comments like that, comments for your program. Okay, now coming to the keywords or reserved words. What are the keywords and reserved words are available in Python? Every programming language will have the keywords, and these words also called as reserved words. The meaning of reserved words is these words are reserved for something, and for what thing these words are reserved, for that thing only how to use. You can't use for other purpose. What purpose these words are reserved, for that purpose only how to use these words. You can't use for your declaration of the variable and defining the function purpose. We cannot use. So keywords are very important. Some standard keywords are there in Python also. That means keywords will convey a special message to the interpreter while executing program. For example, in our program, as a programmer, if I use some keyword, and whenever I execute that keyword through Python interpreter will get clear information. So developer has given this keyword, so according to this keyword you have to do that some task. That keywords can be used in particular reason only, that are reserved for something. What purpose it's reserved for, that purpose only how to use it. Sir, how do I know that how many keywords, what are the keywords are available in Python programming? Yes, there is simple technique is there. You can see 2 lines of code is required to write import keyword. Do you know import is also one of the keyword? I'm using this import keyword for importing keyword library. This is a library actually. And after that, if you want to display complete keyword list, KW list, we have keyword.kw list, and then execute. Look at here, we got keyword list completely. This is completely list format. Okay, list format it is. So observe carefully, Python is case sensitive programming language. That's the reason. So first 3 keywords you just notice: F capital false, none, N capital, true, T capital, but rest of the all keywords are lower cases only. But don't worry about these keywords. I'll include in our sessions each and every keyword. I will give detailed example. Depends on situation. I can't list out all keywords one by one. I cannot explain. That's not good idea also. But according to our programming requirement, we have to include that keywords. At the time of including that keywords, I will discuss clearly what purpose I am including the keyword and what it will do that. Look at here, one import is also one of the keyword, no? Yes, I am using this import keyword in my program right now. Why I am using import keyword here? For importing library. Why you need to import this library? Because I want to display keyword list to you. So that's what I importing library by using import keyword, and by using library.kw list, then I'm displaying these all list of keywords which are available in Python. Okay, but these keywords you can't use as your own purpose. Like for example, import is a keyword. Okay, let's move to other program. Just import is a keyword equals to 10. How I'm using this import keyword as a variable, like how we use a equals to 10, same I'm using import equal to 10. Will it work? No, undoubtedly it will not work. You can't use any keyword, okay, as your variable. It is invalid syntax. For example, if I'm going to remove this, yes, it is valid. Why valid? IMP is not a keyword. It's just your variable name you declared like IMP. It will work. So understand that. You can't use any keyword or reserved word for some other reasons like declaring the variable or defining the function. No. What purpose it's available keyword, same purpose only how to use that keyword. So this is keyword list purpose. We can use, we can write this simple program, 2 lines of program. You'll get completely all keyword list clearly. Not only here, anywhere you can type this program, you will get keyword list. Even if I go to Idealia software in interactive shell, I'm just typing import keyword, and after that keyword dot kw list. Here print function is not required. If you want, you can use also, no issues. Kw list. So there is a spelling mistake. Keyword dot kw list, then press enter. Automatically keywords are available. Even if you write same code in Notepad and execute in command prompt, also it will available all keywords. Okay, or else you can do one thing.
So this is the test one. I have given some file name is wrong. Let's rename it once again. Just I would like to rename. Where is the rename? Okay, no problem. It's a rename option is not available here. No issues at all. So same program I'll shift into my test.py. Just observe here. Test.py I'm executing. Okay, done. Keywords are up. And you can go to terminal also. Here you can see py space test.py. Then run. Here also we got keyword list completely. In terminal I'm just typing my program name. Okay, yes. So these are the keywords or result words which are available. And coming to the identifiers. What is meaning of identifier? There is no keyword called identifier in Python. So there is no identifier word in Python. Identifier is nothing but it's a name. Okay, in Python, any name is called as identifier. Either it can be a variable name or class name or function name or constructor name or method name, anything. Just name we can call it as identifier. For example, how we can identify me by my name, how I can identify you by your name. So that identification is required. So it can be a variable name or function name or class name. Any name is called in Python identifier. But to declare variables or variable names or function names or class names, you have to follow some certain rules and regulations. What are the rules and regulations are there? We'll discuss here. Rules to define identifier. Rules to define identifier. What are the rules are there? Rule number one. Rule number one. Identifier allow lowercase and also or uppercase, anyone. Yes, lowercase as well as uppercase. Identifier are case sensitive completely. Yes, completely these are case sensitive. Identifiers are case sensitive. Identifier means any name in Python is called identifier. It can be a variable name or function name or constructor name, any name. But while giving names, you must and should follow proper rules. Okay. So what is the rule number one? It can be a lowercase or uppercase. And but make sure that that is a case sensitive. I'll explain you these two rules. As you observe here, emp id equals to 100 or 1234. Print emp id. This is valid variable or not? Yes, it's a variable. It also called as identifier. This is valid. Let's run this one. It will allow. Okay. Now, if I'm trying to access this EMPID capital letter, will it allow? No. Why? Because identifiers are case sensitive. How the way you declare the name of the variable here, same way you have to access, but you are trying to access in different way. But it can be a lowercase or uppercase, no issues at all. It can be a lowercase or uppercase. EMPID and 1234 and 1234 it's coming. But what do you recommend, sir? Is it a capital letter always should be or small letter? I strongly recommend lowercase better to follow. Why, sir? Why don't I follow EMPID, that is capital letter variable or capital letter function name? So there is a logic is there. Suppose in other languages, uh, they're having some constant. Const keyword is there. Constant means the variable, once it is constant, we cannot able to change its value in other languages. But in Python, there is no constant topics, no constants. But still, if you want to convey a message to other programmers when you see when they are going to see your code, uh, if you want to make to understand them, this is constant, then we can declare in capital case. Even if you declare capital case, even if they understand that you declare as a constant variable, this value cannot be changed. If if they want to change again, this can be changed because Python do not support any constant. But you just declare all capital letters that indicates that it is a constant. This means this value should not be disturbed. That is the case. So that's what don't use unnecessarily all the capital cases. If you mention everything in capital letters, that makes sense. It is a constant. But constants not support. So other programmers will understand clearly. Yes, programmer has declared capital letter everything, so I should not change this value. If intentionally or wantedly they want to change still, then they can change it, no issues at all. Okay, so that's what better to give all lowercase characters whenever you give variables or class name or function name. That is lowercase is better. These are the two rules. And next rule number 3, identifier allow digits. Identifier allow digits. While declaring name of the variable or name of the function, digits also allowed. What digits? 0 to 9 digits allowed. But make sure that identifier or any name should not start with a digit. It should not. It should not start with a digit, sir. Yes, undoubtedly it should not start with the digits. If it starts with digit, it will give error. Digit can be of anywhere. For example, EMPID 1, EMPID 1. It's valid. It's valid. And even EMP9, EMP9, ID1, EMP9, ID1. It is valid. Okay, digit can be of anywhere in the middle or last or somewhere, but it should not be last. For example, 8. Here I'm including 8. It is invalid. Okay, it's invalid. Completely it is invalid. Identifier means any name should not start with a digit. Undoubtedly, it should not start with a digit. So you have to careful while working with these names. Okay, giving names. So each and every rule is important. These are fundamental things. Basics are very important. It will play the vital role in your programming logic. So it should not start with it, and it will allow digit. Digit can be of anywhere. Next rule number 5. Identifier allow underscore. Yes, it can be. It will allow underscore, sir. We can use underscore, but make sure that identifier should not be two parts. It should not be two parts. Okay, identifier allow underscore, but it should not be two parts. Look at here, for example, EMP space ID I'm just giving. Is this valid? No, it is invalid, because identifier should not be two parts. Any name should not be two parts. If you want to give two parts of the name of the variable or function name, you can use underscore symbol, because it will allow underscore. No, it will not out now. Okay, and this is rule number 5 and 6. And rule number 7, if an identifier starts with the underscore underscore underscore, then it is private. Yes, then it is private. So what happens are, if my identifier means any name, variable name or function name, starts with underscore symbol, how we can represent that is a private. If an identifier starts with the underscore underscore, then it is what's a private. Suppose here you can see this identifier EMPID is not at all starts with underscore. What is this? Public. In other languages, programmers will use private access modifier, public access modifier, protected, internal, default, so many there. But in Python, there is no such kind of access modifiers. Only by looking at variable name and function name, you have to decide whether it is public or private. How we can decide? Simple. If a variable or a function not starts with any underscore, that is public. Public means anywhere we can access. Okay, I'll talk about this public private things in later sessions when I start with object oriented programming. That is the best place to discuss all those things, but just I'm making aware of these things. So no underscore, a variable name or function name not starts with any underscore, that is public. Public means no restriction, anywhere we can access. If it is starts with double underscore, okay, double underscore, then it is called private. Private means wherever you declare, in which class you declare, there only we can access. In outside the class, it's not possible. So what about single underscore? Single underscore is also private, but it's not strongly private. Why? Because some relaxation is there here. Observe carefully. We have a parent class and we have a child class. In parent class, if I declare single underscore EMPID, that means protected. It is called protected single underscore with variable name. That means that variable we can access within the parent class, and also from that parent which child class is derived, that child class also we can access. But if it is starts with double underscore, then meaning is what? Even if we declare this double underscore variable, which is strongly private, even we declare inside the parent class, inside the parent class only we can access, even child classes also not possible. But whenever we give no underscore, it is public, anywhere we can access. Within parent, within child, or some other child, or anywhere, no issues at all. Restriction will not be there. Public things means. Okay. Simple. Public property anyone can use. Private property no one can use. Okay, hope you understand. I'll give more clarity about this in object oriented. This is not right place to discuss about this. And coming to the thing, eighth rule, we can't use any keyword as identifier. We can't use any keyword as identifier. As I said that just now, keywords list we have shown, no? Yes, for example, def is a keyword to define function. Actually, it is one of the keyword, but you are using as a variable. It's not possible. Don't use any keyword as a variable or any other purpose. This keyword is clearly available for defining the function. Only you can use defining the function, but don't declare as your variable. Any keyword or reserved word we can't use to declare as identifier. Even name of the function, class name also, we can't use keywords. These 8 rules are must and should follow while working with names. Names means any name. It can be a variable name, it can be a class name, it can be a function name, it can be a method name in object-oriented programming, but rules must and should be followed. This is called identifier. Identifier meaning is just name. Name in Python is called identifier. Now coming to the variable. Sir, variable is also called as identifier. Yes, absolutely. We can call variable is also called as identifier. Okay, variable is called name. It's a name. What is this name of the variable? But while declaring variable in Python, we don't define any data type because it's a dynamically typed programming language. Okay, but just exactly variable means variable is a named memory location. What is this? Named memory location. We can say that variable is a named memory location. What is this? Variable is a named memory location. Named memory location means if I ask like 10 values going to store in where A is a named memory location for 10, where it is going to store A only. So look at here, this is variable simple. What we discussed previously, empid also, that is also variable. But in Python, we don't define any data type of variable type of A, then run test. So you'll get clearly type of integer type based on data type of the variable. Based on value of the variable, data type will be decided internally, that is float type. Okay, yes, but if I give directly like this, will it work? No, it will not work. According to Python syntax, it is wrong completely, invalid syntax it's written. Understand? Yes. So now coming to the thing, multiple assignment. It is single assignment, no? Just we are assigning single value to single variable. It is single assignment. But what about multiple assignments? Multiple assignment is the process of assigning single value to multiple variables like A equals to B equals to C equals to 10. At a time, how many values I am assigning? Only one value. For how many variables? 3 variables. So assigning single value to multiple variables. This is multiple assignment. Print A, print B, then print C. Print C. Look at here. We are just printing this all. Yes, we are. Sir, can we print this all values into single line? Yes, we can print single line also. Print A, B, C, this is. So we are printing all values into single line only. So we are getting output clear. But observe here, if I would like to provide some separator. So in my output here, you can see all 10s will be available, but I want to give some separator for them. Okay. So to give separator after every value, then we have to use separator attribute SCP equals to some separator I have to mention like comma symbol. If I'll mention comma, then you can see after value comma is available. Separator can be of anything, colon or something, spaces, more spaces. If you want, you can assign that separator attribute. Okay, I'm just giving some spaces, more spaces I'm giving. Each and every value in between spaces are available. This is called separator attribute to provide separator. But this is not only multiple assignment. Assigning single value to multiple variables only, not a single, not multiple assignment. This is also multiple assignment. A, B, C equals to 10, 20, 30. Assigning multiple values to multiple variables, also a multiple assignment. This is also multiple assignment. Just same thing I'm executing now. You can see we are getting 10, 20, 30. We can assign multiple values to multiple variables, and we can assign a single value to multiple variables. No issues at all. But look at here, I just want to show you one more attribute here. Print A, print B, print C, print A, print B, print C. These are what? Just 3 print functions are there for printing line by line. Okay, for printing line by line. Just run it one. 10, 20, 30 values are printing line by line. But my requirement is what, though if I use print function, 3 print functions, and still my output should be like this in the output window, 10, 20, 30 like this. Even though if you are using 3 print function for printing line by line, but still my output should be in the same line only. How I can do that? It's very simple. If you don't want to move to next line, after printing A, then end attribute equals to comma. You can use both separator as well as end attribute also. And here also I'm giving comma. That's all. End attribute is used for not moving into next line. Still, if you want to display in the same line, then go for end attribute. And along with end attribute, you can use separator also. It will work. But why not? Why you are not giving sir after C end attribute? Because after C there is no variable. That's what I'm not giving any end attribute. Okay, even if we give end attribute, no use. Okay, not required here. So this is end attribute and separator attributes are there to print values in proper way, how you like. Okay, so this is multiple assignment concept. Multiple assignment is the process of assigning a single value to multiple variables. This is first one. And also multiple values, assigning multiple values to multiple variables. Python supports multiple assignment clearly. Now coming to the last one, observe carefully, indentation. What is indentation? Generally, to consider a block of code in other languages like C, C++, Java, and C#.NET, and so on. To consider a block of code, they'll use curly brackets, open curly brackets and close curly brackets. Understand? Yes. But in Python, we don't use any curly brackets. Instead of that, we use what's called indentation. Indentation means actually 4 spaces. 4 spaces are required. Compulsory 4 spaces are required? No, at least 1 space is compulsory required. I'll try to show you one simple example here. Okay, so look at here, just I'm opening code in Notepad. This is the problem. At the same time, I would like to explain. If you write code in Notepad, what is the problem? Okay, so look at here, I'm just writing code. A equals to 10. Just let me show you first int A equals to 10. This is not Python code, just other language code. If condition I'm writing, if A equals to 10, open bracket, close bracket. If condition is true, if they want to mention something, then they should mention inside the if block, open curly brackets and close curly brackets. If condition is false, then we should enter into else block. Print false, false. This is what if else condition, simple. I'm just assigning 10 value to a variable and I'm checking if condition true. If is used to test the condition, 10 equal to 10. If it is correct, then it will jump into here true. If not correct, it will go to else block and false. Look at here. This type of code you should write in other languages. It will not work in Python because for considering the block of code purpose, they use curly brackets, open curly brackets, close curly brackets. In between what lines they have written, that under comes into if block. In between what lines, that under comes into else block. But this is not Python syntax. Let me make Python syntax. So instead of curly brackets, we use indentation actually in Python. So what is the problem if you type code in Notepad? You can see a value 10 if a equals to 10. This is if condition syntax, Python syntax. Later we'll discuss, no issues at all. And my condition is true. What I need to do? Print true. Print true. I need to display true. Just true. It is not required. Else colon print false. This is Python syntax, sir. Don't worry about this. Why I'm using colon, all those things. Later we'll come across all conditional statements, if else, nested if, elif, while loop, for loop, all those things we'll explain in detail. Don't worry. Just my intention is now in this program to show indentation, how it will work. If you write code in Notepad, especially this kind of code which is related to Python in Notepad, what is the problem? I'll tell you. There is no indentation. As soon as when we press enter, automatically cursor is blinking starting of the line. And if you write code directly from the starting of the line, what will happen? I'll show you. Press Ctrl S. I'm saving this sample.py into my desktop. Then click on save. Already it is there. and let's go for sample1.py. Okay, just go for sample1.py. Minimize it. I have to come and modify this one. Sample1.py is available. Yes. Now let's run this into command prompt. Go to desktop location, cd space desktop. After that, py space sample1.py. Is it going to be executed successfully? No. Look at here. What is the error? Indentation error is coming. What's problem in this program? Yes, you have written code correct, but you have not matched it with indentation level. So look at here. If I write code like this, every line is act as individual lines. There is no block of code. If block don't have any code, else block also don't have any code. To make a block of code, instead of curly brackets, how other programming language, in other programming language we use. In Python, there is indentation, 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, just I'm giving 1, 2, 3, 4. Then Control S. Now go back to command prompt and type your code Python space sample1.py. Now it's not. Now it will work. Now you can see true is coming. Means our logic is working. This is the way to write code. But if you write code in Notepad, then automatically as soon as when we press enter button, cursor is blinking in the starting line. You have to move. That is your responsibility. If you'd like to move as an indentation level, first of all you should know what is indentation, what spaces are given, where I should give that spaces. But sir, compulsory 4 spaces are required. So at least 1 space is enough. At least 1 space is required here. I'm just giving 1 space, and Control S. Let's move to command prompt, and cd space desktop. This is the problem every time you have to move to directory and sample.py, then run it. Okay, now it will not fine. At least 1 space is required. So this is the problem. Indentation levels may be missed when we write code in Notepad. So that's what in initial stage of practice Python programs, I'll not recommend to write code in Notepad or any other editor. Go for PyCharm-Editor. Look at here, I'm writing same code in PyCharm-Editor. A equals to 10. If A equals to 10 colon, as soon as when we press enter, automatically the indentation is leaving. From there, you can able to type the code here. This is the advantage in PyCharm-Editor. There is no chance to do the mistakes while working with indentation levels, all those things. Happily, you can able to type your code with indentation. Automatically, PyCharm-Editor will find where indentation is required. If you are able to write the code under the block of code, that whenever it is required a block, then automatically indentation levels will be set. And here also don't move back your cursor forcefully back. Here again you will get indentation error. Look at here, indentation error is coming. At least 1 space is required here to consider a block of code. Means this print is belongs to this if block. When if condition is true, I should execute this one. And this print is belongs to else block. When if is false, control will jump into else block. Whenever else block, then I should execute this code. That is the meaning actually here. When it will move to cursor else block, 100 value I'm giving. 100 equal 10, it's not correct. If not correct, it will go to else block. Then run it. But why I'm giving 4 spaces? By default, the PyCharm-Editor or any other editors will take 4 spaces only. That's what I'm giving indentation level 4 spaces. But all the time indentation is not required, sir. For example, you can see in this program, I'm writing just normal hello and hi or something like this. This code is required indentation? Not, because these are all individual statements. Directly when we execute, then not required to maintain indentation levels for this. It will run. Only which lines of code under comes into a block of code, like if block, else block, inside the function, inside the class, inside while loop, inside for loop, then that case we have to go for indentation. Okay, so this is most important fundamental concept which I covered today. This is very important. Indentation, variables and rules and regulations of identifiers, keywords, comments, and different ways to write Python code and execute. So that's it for today from my side, and we'll continue from Monday onwards. Okay, again next session will be on Monday. Meanwhile, you just register those who wants to attend sessions regularly. Once you registration complete, then only your mail IDs I'll get from Durgasoft team, and so that I can share this session number 1 and session number 2 recorded videos, and along with material also I'll send to you. Okay. So thanks for attending, and see you on Monday session, same link at same time only. You just join, and if you have any questions now, you can feel free to ask me now. I'll wait for a few minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. Mr. Chiranjeevi, tell me.
Yeah. Actually, when do you go to start for Django?
Django, yeah, that's what. Let's actually I discussed clearly in the last session. These sessions all belongs to Python and Django. So 45 days, first initial 45 days, I'll teach complete Python programming language, core Python and advanced Python. Once we complete Python, then after 45 days, then Django I'll cover.
Okay. Why?
Yeah.
Because I know Python already. Just today is my first session.
Okay,
Actually,
no.
I'm looking for Django only.
Okay, but recently I started Django 4-5 sessions completed. But if it's not a problem for you, then you can ask them to Durgasoft people. And morning 10 a.m. I started recently Django. So if you want,
Do
you
you have
can.
any evening sessions? 10 a.m. means have some other things to do.
I don't have right now evening sessions. So there are a lot of sessions I'm dealing right now. There is no slot, empty slot. So sorry for that. If any updation, then there are people will give that updation to you.
Okay, I will contact with Durga sir.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Conditional statement, for loop, while loop, only its indentation is required. Not only conditional statement, in any other concepts also. For example, you can see in object-oriented programming, I need to create a class. Class name is test. Class contains generally variables and methods. When we press enter, here onwards, your variables declaration, method declaration should start. If you move back, it is not inside the class, it's outside the class. At the same time, here I'm defining the function f1. Inside the function, if you want to write something, then press enter. Here onwards, your statement should be start. Indentation is leaving now. In these cases, we can use indentation. No worries, just by practice, you will come to know that where indentation is required exactly. Yes, undoubtedly, Stravani, you can keep no issues at all. You have any gap, then you can put your experience, no issue, not at all. It's absolutely it'll work. Any questions, sir? Any questions? Sessions will be continued from Monday to Saturday, exactly. Only Sunday is the holiday. And every day after finishing the class, after half an hour or 1 hour time, I'll take for uploading video to your Google Drive. Okay. Yes. Sir, can we complete exactly in 3 months for Python? Undoubtedly, I have a proper schedule, so I'll take for sure 3 months completely Django and Python. More than it may not go. Just 5 to 6 days difference, maybe 5 to 6 days less or more. Yes. Core Python and advanced Python will complete first 45 days. Then after 45 days, I'll start Django. When I start Django, first 4-5 sessions complete introduction and setup and installation process, how to make Django application we'll discuss. Then after, I'll take 5 to 6 sessions completely on UI technologies basics, because Django web application development UI technologies are mandatory, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all those things. I'll give complete basic idea of all those UI technologies. Then we'll start real Django applications. See, that's what I'm saying. See, if you learn only complete Python as a Python programmer, you can able to search a job, no issues at all. Okay, there are a lot of opportunities are also there, only Python programmer. But in case some companies will ask the Django developer also for involving into their websites, web application development, then that time Django is compulsory to learn. But to learn Django, Python script is required. So Python is for sure mandatory. It is, you can't escape it from that. But Django is optional as per your requirement. If you want, you can, otherwise not.
Yeah, I have one more question. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me, sir.
Are you going to tell in means NumPy, Pandas as well in this course? Or
Yes, yes, yes. Complete NumPy and Pandas and Matplotlib. Basic things I'll cover for data analysis. Those who wants to go for data science or data analysis, I'll give some basic Pandas programs, NumPy programs, Matplotlib data visualization, how to do that, working with CSV file, all those things I'll cover.
okay, these all are comes into the advanced Python or in
Exactly. This under comes into advanced Python. Our core and advanced Python after completion, and separately I'll take the classes for Pandas and Matplotlib and NumPy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Any questions? Okay. It's time to leave, and thanks for attending, and see you on Monday session. So same link, same time. Have a nice time. Okay.